Yeah, what up? Respect. Respect. Unconditional love. Unconditional love. Unconditional love. Married upon self, married upon self, married upon self. Okay. A couple things I'm gonna touch on. First, I'm gonna show respects and respects and respects. Because I had the fam reached out. You know what I mean? Shout out to Yo D. I just actually read their email a few minutes ago, and it was pretty deep. So respect. And my man Smasheroni. You know what I mean? Shout out, homie. You know what I mean? Dope brother, man. Still got more to come. Respect to those beautiful entities. Um, and yeah, I wanted to say that, but then I want to focus on something, particularly. We all go through, and I'm gonna keep going back to this incremental rise. You gotta understand and understand what this is. There are a whole bunch of things. There are a whole bunch of particulars in life. You're gonna always deal with characteristics, traits of a whole bunch of different things. You know what I mean? Those things are great to bring you, whatever they fall at. They're great to bring you where you need to be for your individual makeup, right? And it's always going to be about that, your individual makeup, because you're important. You were born. So, with that being said, you're going to go high up and you're going to go low down. You're going to go back and forth, back and forth. Um, I'm going to explain a diagram, a mental diagram. I'm going to let you see. I'm going to explain to you. You may see it in a little while, but just to give clarity, you're going to go through so much and you're going to get close. You're going to fall and you're going to rise. You're going to fall and you rise. Plenty of time. And it's never going to be the definition or the explanation of what you did learn. You see what I'm saying? It's always going to be more and more and more and more because knowledge is infinite. And when there is more knowledge, there is more responsibility. So there is more things trying to cover that up, more situations trying to make it as difficult to have that, just that pretense itself, just to have that essence of knowledge. So you have individuals who give you access to what they want you to have as far as what you perceive knowledge to be. Because things we go through in actuality, you can't find that in the book. You know what I mean? That real thing that you go through, you only get an incremental response. It's almost like somebody came and knew I was the truth and just watched what I did to try to be me. And then they write it down to give you away, but it's not the feeling. It's not the in-depth, the in-depth passion of the actual emotions of why things went the way they did. So each individual has their own path. And the reason why I'm focused on this because I put 7 years from the age of 28 to 35. I say a little, I was probably a little younger than that because it was like, all right, so I was 26 going to 27, I was like 34. Straight growth, straight spiritual growth. And it went so far. And in the last 3 years, up until now, has been a rebirth. And I like to engage in the fresh information and fresh pretenses to keep my energy quickened. So at some point, I never thought I would just fall so far down off of everything that I knew. And it took something as significant and direct as indirect. See what that means? So it's like you didn't expect that. You know what I mean? And that would be like the last resort, right? If you even so that was my situation and feeling type, right? So it was a complete knockoff. It had nothing to do with anything else. This is what life does. When you rise, you have to get pushed to see if you can hold that stability once the new knowledge is upon you. So it's like now you have that efficiency. You have that efficiency into you. You have this new see information. And see, this is the thing about knowledge. And this is why I love it so much. Most people, you'll read and you'll study and you'll take tests and you'll even apply it to your life in different circumstances. Knowledge is so deep, and understand what deep means. Knowledge is so deep that it has to become a part of you. Like it has to become your flesh. It has to become your second motion. Like sometimes when you're young, you was apt to pick up slang and different ways people walk and move and dance and stuff like that. But as you get older, you learn things in life and then you still regurgitate or you'll still recite. It has to be your action. You have to be an image for something else, especially when you're trying to be correct. You know what I mean? So even if it's for the better part of you to show yourself that you have completed that integrity, you know what I'm saying? Then that's still an image you have to stand for. You know what I mean? Whether it's for the outside aspect, which would be anything symbolic to that connection outside of you. You know what I mean? Like a replica of DNA or sibling factor format or friendship, or we can go anywhere with that. Or you still have representation to do with you because you're separate from your Merkaba. You're separate from your Ka and your Ba. You're separate from your Mur and your Ka, even though you carry that. And the world wants to tell you these different things that you deal with. It's not true. And I don't, and it really don't matter to me. I won't never ever debate actuality and naturality from truth. You know what I'm saying? Like you can't come to me with a theory or something somebody wrote down and that's their experience. I'm not saying it's false. I'm saying it's not my experience. You know what I mean? I can come have an experience that you're going through. And that experience that I experienced with you is still your experience. It's only going to have my perception on how I saw it. You know what I'm saying? The feeling is still yours. So this is why judgment is definitely is definitely detrimental depending on, you know what I'm saying, what you're doing that for. You know what I'm saying? So everybody's gonna go through so many things and you're gonna go up and down constantly. You know what I'm saying? It's not about it's not about the implication, it's about what you're doing with it. You see, when you know yourself, it's almost like you can be in mud. Let me give you a light example. You can be in mud, covered in it. That doesn't make you mud. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't make you shit. Even though it control you might be sinking in and everything. You might even eventually become a part of it if you don't do anything about it. You know what I'm saying? And first and foremost, that's remaining the fact that under that mud, you knowing that who you are. You know what I'm saying? It's as simple as that. Now, with all that being said, I just want I speak on these things just to keep the minds of the listeners wide. Spread that John wide as you can. So therefore, there is no room to stack information. Information should be learned and passive. Because as soon as you learn it, you embed it, you download it. After you download it, you use it. After you use it to that level of existence, then now it's no more because you equate it to a higher level. You know what I'm saying? This is what we do, bro. You know what I'm saying? I ain't even gotta, speculate on that. I respect a lot of the things that the brothers put out. I respect all the trees because it's their vision and their perception of how they're doing in their time. So to hear the all the energy rising in different spectacles because of their perception is just a beautiful thing. And this right here to me is symbolic to a dream that I even spoke on when I was saying I had a dream about different trees and they was singing some beautiful music, and they were all Christian. I don't want to go deep into it, but yeah, it's a beautiful thing, and this is how symbolically it stands out to me. I can sit back and have awe. That's just my personal feeling, So, but I think my like I was feeling the thought to say loving. I'm gonna say it like this because most people fall into negativity, right? Like you fall into situations. I think there are so many options to misdirect, indirect situations, and there are so many times to accept misdirected, indirect situations. It's all about focus, or maybe I just pick up on things people don't. You know what I'm saying? But I sit down and I watch and I see a space that could be fulfilled or filled in. You know what I'm saying? Like when a person could be embarrassed or when the right word could be placed there or where it takes that small incremental situation just to make the whole situation play out better. I see these things. So that's a different type of work. You know what I mean? That's a different type of work. And I think everybody has the option to use that, but I don't think everybody takes the option to use it. I don't think everybody takes the option to use it. So I think it's too many situations that are available for you to have a scapegoat or to explain situations that another man can never explain for you because it's your own. And people always want to tell you, you, the best person who can explain you is you because you're going through that movie. I don't want to tell you about your movie. And see, the hardest thing, like, I like staying in my lane. You know what I'm saying? I like sitting back and just giving you my experience or or expressing something I went through and vice versa. We share that. And then at the same time, if I have something to offer or that energy that I give off is prominent to an individual out, you know what I'm saying? I like to give more, you know what I'm saying? I don't like to tell nobody what to do, you know what I'm saying? I just like to express things that may be beneficial. Like if I went through it, that's how I handle it. I'm not telling you to do what I did, but maybe something in that you can take from it. It don't even have to be the wordplay. It may possibly be just the confidence. It may possibly be the patience. It can be any little hint in different situations that will guide, you know what I mean, energy to get over a false hump that we've created for ourselves in the physical, knowing that we're actually a flow of energy. So to understand that everything in this world is propagated as a blockage, even if it's potentially a food, it has to be something that's considered before. It's something always going to be considered before you consider the attributes of what you can actually do for yourself. And that came in so many different ways. This is why the life is made into a maze. If it was as simple for me to snap my fingers and be filled in my stomach, that would have to be something that I have a reality of. That would be, and somebody else would call it magic. But see, magic would be the term that would separate me from being able to do that. You see what I'm saying? Like somebody would say, in order for me to get inside this bottle right here, I got to remove the top. You see what I'm saying? But somebody put a top there in order for me to, matter of fact, somebody put the stuff that I need inside the bottle. So, you know what I mean? We can go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth about how to do this and what's to doing it. But the crabs that are in the barrel were placed in that barrel. Somebody built that shit. You see what I'm saying? And we can keep going back and forth about semantics. The semantic level of reality is the fact that our reality is propagated by somebody keeping us into a structure, no matter if that's mental, physical, or spiritual. a structure that holds you in one space. So therefore, we can converse and have duality. Now, I'm got to that point. Now, I said earlier I wanted to talk about an image that's going to build a structure to show you something. This is just and I don't really talk in theories, you know what I'm saying? But for my reality, this is an actuality. So theoretically, a vision I'm going to show you that you can use because I don't have it in front of me. But just walk with me for a minute. Imagine, and we're going to use terms as above, so below, right? So imagine a diamond, or just a diamond, fairly large, point to point. You know what I mean? Like this. You see, point to point, like a diamond. It's like, right, diamond. You have a middle plane. You know what I'm saying? So now you have a pyramid coming down and a pyramid above it, but it's a middle plane that's connected, right? So the pyramid that's coming down, it points down. See how it goes down? So we're going to use that as lower vibration, but it's connected to the left side of the middle, right? The middle structure of the base. And then the upward part of the pyramid is structured to the right side. So in the middle, there's a circle that sits inside of a square. Okay, the circle that sits inside of the square is a yin yang symbol. We're going to use that. So I'm going to use terms so you can feel me. Inside the square, which is inside of a diamond, two pyramids as above as below. We clear? We on the same page? All right, so there are times, and this can be used in any aspect, any relationship, you know what I'm saying, any continuity. You have the positive side where we can have the greatest aspects, the greatest connection thoughts. We can have the build. We can have the wonderfulness of just the reality. That's the right side of the hemisphere. You know what I'm saying? The colors, the magnificent, the awe. Then the left side is when we focus more on there are strategics and conditions and constitutions and little negativity and more versus for the duality plane which we're living on. Now we're going to fall into a lot of different aspects, and from that middle plane we can either rise on the positive side or sink heavy on the negative side. Now, not to say that neither one of the points don't have a connection in the other side because it's stability. So they do have, but it doesn't rise. Like what I'm saying is on the negative side, there's a piece of positive that holds stability, but it doesn't go all as far as how the point of negative goes. And the same on the positive side, there's a piece of negative, but it doesn't rise as far as the negative does. Okay, it's just something to keep stability. So now we can go from the positive side to the negative side, and this is our plane of duality that we live on in existence every day. We go back and forth on this reality plane. Now, potentially, there's an option to live in this plane within, and it looks like this because you have the yin yang that's spinning, right? It's spinning. So what is that line that flows in symmetry that allows the yin yang to flow in the circle? So it's like a line. It's like this, almost like an S, right? Like that, because they swim. So it's like, you know what I'm saying, it constantly goes like that. That thin line is a complete, pure understanding of the symmetry between the two that exist on the plane. And this is the cohesiveness or the glue that's used to hold the 2 points together, that holds the dissension of negativity and holds the ascension of positivity for those 2 planes of existence that exist on our balance, okay, of this reality. So then you have the option to leave both left and right hemispheres and walk in the middle of that plane, knowing that you have both abilities. And I'm going to say abilities because that's what they are. To have negativity and to have positivity, they're abilities. But the emotional contact allows us to intake them or interject them and use them like they're our own. I don't have to be the negative or the positive. I just have to use it. and I can't be afraid of it. And most people embody that. Sometimes you need a point to be across. So I may need to be angry for that moment because it's just how it needs to be put across. I can be the worst or I can be the best. It depends on the situation. Now using that for a fortitude of emotional contact is completely different. This is where neutralism comes in. Neither one of the hemispheres rule. They are used. And they are used against things who are ruled. You see what I'm saying? And this is when you start to rise from not left or right, but straight in the middle. Okay? And you don't rise upward, you rise both ways. So if I was to flip it upside down, I would go high in the negative aspect and also high in the positive aspect. So you become one light. It's like this. Because then you're complete. Okay, that's complete balance. Which then when it spins outward and it's spinning, okay, now you're complete aspects of the whole diamond. Because see that one pole will go like this, and then it will go like this around the diamond. Okay, and imagine what that is. It's like a pulsar. You know what I'm saying? And they show you that in different diagrams, and then people try to manipulate the process of what's really going on. But these are minds. These are rising minds, and they want to call them stars in the universe. These were rising minds that actually rose higher to the pretense. So the diagram is there. We can keep speculating on what somebody tells you things are because those things are only cages. They're always going to be cages. And see, I love how life gives itself and offers itself to people, you know what I mean, to put it in the right situation. So pay attention to that first energy because it's telling you things. And try to steer away from knowing. Just be and let it come to you. Respect, respect, respect. Unconditional love, unconditional love, unconditional love. Marry upon self, marry upon